Go
Coevolution is the change of a biological object triggered by the change of the related object. In other words, when changes in at least two species' genetic compositions reciprocally affect each other's evolution, coevolution has occurred. Coevolution may be responsible for much of the genetic diversity seen in normal populations. There's evidence for coevolution at the level of populations and species. Coevolution is the interactive evolution of two or more species that results in a mutualistic or antagonistic relationship. Coevolution can occur between pairs of entities, with examples including predator and prey, or host and parasite. It can be as microscopic as correlated mutations between amino acids in a protein, or as macroscopic as covariant traits between different species in an environment. A specific example of coevolution is hummingbirds and flowers. The flowers have nectar suited to the bird's diet, their color suits the bird's vision, and their shape fits that of the bird's bills. Birds are often important actors in coevoluting systems. Flowers compete for pollinators, and adaptations reduce unfavorable effects of this competition. The fact that the birds can fly during inclement weather can make them more efficient pollinators in cases in which bees and other insects are inactive. Birds may also see ultraviolet colors. The perseverance of ultraviolet colors warns the bird to avoid those flowers.
Alright, so the history of coevolution roots back to when Charles Darwin was first contemplating how to describe it. And when he first described it, he called it mutual interactions between organisms. So this is when two organisms are both benefiting from the interaction. And this relationship, it helps this organisms continue to thrive off each other and continue to evolve and survive. So he first used an example with bees and orchids, and through these two organisms, they continue to evolve and thrive off each other, and they're still surviving until today. And you can tell that it's a variety of different organisms that use coevolution, such as caterpillars and different plants, flowers and hummingbirds, bees and other flowers, and it just continues about how many organisms use coevolution, because with coevolution, organisms will continue to survive, because if they didn't have it, they would die off and the ecosystem would get messed up. So organisms need coevolution to survive and thrive in their environment and continue to just continue the population growing.
There are many authors that have taken on the task of writing books about coevolution. For example, The Geographic Mosaic of Coevolution by John N. Thompson. This book analyzed how species provide resources for long-term coevolution. It also discovered that the coevolutionary process has something to do with the changing of the Earth's landscapes. Another example, The Ordinance of Life by Theodore H. Fleming and W. John Kress. This book described the importance of pollinators in tropical areas. It also showed how the related relationships evolved and lay out the current conservation status of these essential species.
Evolution of art coincides with the evolution of ideas throughout society. So basically that means different societies have different purposes and different uses for art in that society. If the change of art over time can be considered evolution, then we can compare the evolution of that art from today and the different uses, its influences, and its ability to reach its audiences in past history. Leonardo da Vinci, a revolutionary artist who changed the use of art during the Renaissance. Instead of using art only for an appealing contribution to society, he also used his anatomic sketches to record visual information. This visual information could have led on to aid doctors and other physicians in health of people throughout that time. Another example of the coevolution of art and its ideas of society is evident when looking at the masterpiece Michelangelo has created, The Creation of Adam. This piece shows the interaction between what is depicted as God and his angels and Adam, who represents a man. This painting was revolutionary because during the time when it was created, people believed that the only way to interact with God was through the priest or through the church. This painting clearly shows a direct connection between man and God, contrary to what popular belief was at that time. So the ideas of Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci influenced the art that they created at that time. This combination of ideas and art is evidence of coevolution. Even though this coevolution has occurred in the past, it still is able to occur in the present throughout the same way, through ideas in society and the art of people and artists throughout society.
We can think of coevolution as a partnership. We've heard examples of coevolution like bats and moths or flowers and bees. However, coevolution applies to more than just animals and plants. Let's talk about Taylor Swift. Yes, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is signed to Big Machine's record label. Taylor needs Big Machines to help her sell her music, market, and pretty much to help evolve her career in the music industry. At the same time, Big Machine needs Taylor Swift and her music to help the evolution of the label in generating money and helping its reputation. Initially, Taylor started off strictly as a country singer. However, over her time at the label, she has evolved into more of an edgy pop star artist. And this has been great for her. While Taylor is evolving as an artist and entertainer, so is her record label because she is selling millions and millions of albums and becoming more and more successful, which the label is also profiting from. Big Machine's record label and Taylor Swift are evolving and profiting from her great career, and this is an example of coevolution. Think about it. We want to further our education, so we need colleges and universities to do so. We choose our specific schools based on whether they're a great place to learn and if they're a good place to receive our degrees. And these colleges need great students like us to attend in order to keep their university going financially and to help their reputation around the world. While we are evolving as students and furthering our education, the university is also benefiting from us as great students. So together we are co-evolving, which is another example of coevolution.
Around 50 million years ago, one of the greatest arms races of all time began. The ancestors of bats were small mammals which pounced on insects. Flying was a ticket to the vast larder of moths that filled the night skies. But how could they find small, fast-moving prey without sunlight? Bats use their ears. They emit high-intensity pulses of sound. Then listen for echoes bouncing back. Their brains process these reflections into a three-dimensional image, an accurate picture of their dark world. Moths evolved a counterweapon, a simple ear that could detect approaching sonar. An early warning allows the moth to swerve away. As bats approach, they increase their calling rate. For moths, an emergency cue to plummet, though not always to safety. Many bats are superb fishermen. It's even possible that hunting over water has become a deliberate ploy to snare diving moths. As insects became better at detecting sonar, bats required a countermeasure.